What's going on, everybody? It's your boy ColeMize of ColeMizeStudios.com. And if you're a rapper who feels like that you sound the same, your rap flow sounds the same on every song, then that's what this video right here is going to be dedicated to, helping you realize why that's happening and practical things that you can do to fix it right now. And if you're new to my channel, this channel is dedicated to helping up-and-coming rappers be a better rapper right now. And I also have an ebook that I wrote called The #1 Fundamental to Rapping that gives you a really good overview of how all this rapping thing works to help you wrap your mind around it so you can understand how it works and how you can improve in it. And I would love to hook you up with that for free today. You can just click the I up here, or the link will be in the video's description. Okay, so what are a few reasons why your rap flow may be sounding the same on every single song? Number one is what I would just call default cadences. What I mean by that is you just have a certain set of cadences that you just default to. It's a habit. This is very common, so don't beat yourself up about it. I've had to help train a lot of people over the years on getting out of this cycle of these default cadences. It's just a cadence pattern that you're used to, you know it, and it's just a habit. You just go to that. And so you just simply need to break yourself out of that habit, realize that it is a habit. And so when you approach a new song, intentionally try to start with a different cadence. Now, I know this sounds obvious, right? But I don't want to gloss over that too fast. I know that sounds like really practical, which it is, but I really want to really expound on the fact that you can use other cadences that you already know. A lot of people don't realize how many cadences they already know. Think about this. How many years that you've been alive, right? Think about that. And how much music that you've listened throughout all the years that you've been alive, okay? Now imagine how much information you've retained that you've learned throughout those years. You may not realize it, but you already know a lot of different musical patterns that we call cadences. You just don't realize it because it's not fresh in your mind. It's just like every single word I'm using right now to speak to you isn't premeditated, right? So I'm going to default to certain words just because it's by habit, but I know a lot more words than I typically use on a regular basis. So if I want to really step up my word game and implement new words that I know, or just ones I don't as commonly use, then I just need to keep those before me and get them fresh in my mind. And so simply what you may need to do is spend a little time just thinking about all the different musical patterns you've already learned. Think about songs, or just little pieces of songs. It could be a piece of a hook or a verse from one of your favorite rap songs. It could be a new song. It could be an old song. But just think about that and use that as a starting point on your next song or your next verse or whatever to help you already start with a different type of cadence than you normally would. To kind of help break you out of that pattern of using that default type of cadence. And this is a common issue even with freestyling. You know, you'll hear people use certain phrases when they're freestyling off the top of their head, where they'll just use that certain phrase over and over again, sometimes throughout a freestyle, or you'll hear it in every single freestyle. And so it's the same concept. So just try to break yourself out of that habit. Okay, the second reason why your rap flow is likely sounding the same on every song is you don't know a whole lot of cadences. Now, I just stated that you likely do, okay? But let's just say for whatever reason that you don't, or you don't realize all the cadences that you know, or maybe you just don't really feel inspired to really use anything that you already know, and you're wanting something new and wanting something fresh. Okay, well, this is where you can use a technique that we use in this music world called referencing. So like mixing engineers will use it when we're mixing a song and we're wanting to make sure that we hit the mark on the way our song sounds, and we'll listen to something that's already like released mainstream, and we'll check like the bass and the vocals and the balance between all that to make sure our mix is sounding as close to on par with the commercial release as possible. Producers do the same thing when they're making beats. Sometimes one of the first steps to making a beat is just listening to other music that inspires you, and then that will help influence what you're going to create for that day. Okay, so the same thing can be true when it comes to cadences. If you're kind of having a blank, you're shooting blanks, and you really don't know, nothing's really coming to mind as far as cadences, then maybe just take some time to listen to some music and maybe take a piece of a song that you like and just kind of use a cadence from either a hook or a verse or whatever as a starting off point. And then you don't have to use it verbatim exactly like how they use it. You can change it and tweak it and manipulate it and stuff like that. So just to give you an example of this, I am going to reference a cadence from Logic's new song, DadBod. Now I can't play it on my channel, his song, because of copyright issues, but I'm just gonna use a piece of his hook and I'm gonna use that to scat over an instrumental. Check this out. Okay, just listen to Logic's DadBod track, got familiar with it, love the song, love the message. And so I'm just gonna take a piece of that hook and use that as a starting point to rap over this instrumental. And it's not typically how I would rap, you know, and I can build off of it and use it as inspiration to give me some creative ideas. Okay, so I'm just gonna be using my instrumental that I produced called Fairy Tales. This is something that's available on my website. If you want to purchase it, support the channel, feel free to go ahead. But that's what I'm using today. I'll also have a link to that in the video description. Let's get it. I want the pass, when the brass, when the peace, when the grass, when the feed, when the bass, when the lower got it. I'm past when the grass, when the me, when the brass on the deeds, when the cast, when the voter rat it. I put the cast on the drees, on the task, on the breeze, when the cast, when the lower lat it. I'm pad when the grass, when the tees, when the grass on the peas, when the grass on my toe lat it. So that's pretty close to what he does on that hook. Okay, now I could take that idea and completely change it and manipulate it and still keep elements of it. And again, I could get super nerdy and break out the graphs and all this stuff, but this is the musical part of being a rapper. It's not about thinking, it's about feeling. I'm not doing this by thinking, I'm doing it by feeling. So without any type of premeditated stuff, I'm gonna take that cadence and just start manipulating it. Some stuff may sound better than others, but this is how you come up with a spin on a cadence idea, if you will. It's just trial and error. It's just playing around with stuff and molding things like clay. So I'm gonna take that and just play around with it just for a moment. Check it out. I pass when the brass, when the teeth, on the cast, on the breeze, when the pass, when the lower lat it. I pass when the know about it. I phone rast and the know about it. If you want it cold salad. I'm blast when the road about it. I phone the cast and my total router. If you want it cold about it. I'm blast on my total router. I to my cast on my pass on the cast when the lower lat it. So I just changed it a little bit, you know, again, not overthinking it, just playing around with it, vibing out to it and stuff like that. So again, that's one way that you can change up your flow. If you're having a cadence block, just listen to music that inspires you and use it. It's all music. Now, the third reason that your rap flow may sound the same pretty much on every song is because you may not be sure how to transition into different cadence patterns. So you may have a cadence pattern going, but you're not quite sure where do you go from there. How do you take that idea and now transition into something else? Okay, now there's so many different ways that you can do that. There's so many different ways you can transition between one cadence pattern and another. But to simplify it, if I could just give you just a really basic, easy win to help you do that, one thing that you can simply do is simply change where you begin the next bar on. So typically we'll create patterns in 4-bar sections. So let's say that you have some type of cadence pattern going for about 4 bars, and going into bar number 5, simply change where you begin rapping at the beginning of that bar. So for an example, let's say that you're pausing on the first beat of your cadence pattern. You say you take a pause on every first beat, and that's part of your pattern. Simply change that. Now maybe pause on the first beat and the second beat and lead into the third beat, or don't pause at all and lead into the first beat of your next 4-bar section. Again, try not to overthink this stuff. This is me kind of analytically breaking it down and explaining it to you. But while we're doing this stuff and we're creating music, we're doing this in our heads. We're not in our heads. We're doing this by feeling and vibe. It's not in our heads. We're not thinking about it. Okay, but I'm just trying to letting you in on a practical way you could do it. If you're hung up and you just can't figure out how to do it, simply change where you begin rapping your new bar at that you wanted to sound or feel different on, your new cadence pattern. Again, you can do that by either adding a pause, eliminating a pause, depending on what your current cadence pattern is, and that's going to instantly change the way it feels just by adding that pause or taking away that pause. So what I'm going to do now is demonstrate adding or taking away. Matter of fact, I'm going to still use Logic's cadence I was just using with the DadBod, and I'm going to use that to transition. Okay, so let me just go back to that real quick. Okay, so the way that Logic's cadence pattern is going is basically has like a 2-bar cadence pattern. So it It pauses like on the first beat, leads into the second beat, like 1. I pass when the task, when the keys, and the grass, when the peace, when the cast, when the pole about it. That was 2 bars, okay? And then he repeats it. He pauses again on the first beat. So I'm gonna do that twice, which will make it 4 bars. And then going into the next 4-bar section, I'm no longer gonna pause on the first beat. Okay, I'm gonna change the pattern up by eliminating that pause and rapping where there was a pause on that first beat. Check it out. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, I win the cast on the pass on the beat, when the brass, when the peace, when the cast, when the Apollo about it. I'm past when the cast, when the breed, when the cast on the breed, I'm harassed when the Apollo at it. Cost them, I taught her at it. Halt them, I caught her at it. If you want to cast them, I toss them, I taught her at it. Halt when they caught her at it. Hop when they saw her at it. If you want to cast on the brass, when I taught her at it. I want to cast on the breed, I'm attached when the cast on the breed, when the Apollo at it. I want the brass when the tea, on the grass when the pass, when the breed, on my taught about it. See, even at the end, I transition back into the original just to demonstrate what I'm teaching you right now. Once again, it changes the whole feeling. I just change where I begin the next bar at. If I'm taking a pause on the first beat, if I want to change the way my flow feels, maybe on the next pattern I create, quit pausing right there and maybe lead into it or begin on the first beat. That's just one practical way to keep your flow moving and evolving, because as rappers, we are trying to keep the listener entertained, and one way we do that is we're constantly changing things. It doesn't have to be drastic, but the more that we can give that listener that's a little bit different, give them a little ear candy, change things up, keep things fresh, it's going to keep them incentivized to keep listening to us, because the moment they just know what you're going to do, the moment that what you're doing is just super predictable to them, that's the moment they lose interest. That's also sometimes when you listen to a song, that's why a song can kind of lose replay value if it becomes just too obvious to you. If you learn it too much, then there's really not much of a payoff if you know the whole song. In certain cases, some songs are just timeless, you never get tired of hearing them. But if you play a song too much, you may get tired after a while listening to it, and you just need a break, and then it can be fresh again. So again, that ties back into the ebook I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, the #1 fundamental to rapping. That's what I'm talking about in that ebook. So if you haven't gotten it, make sure you get yourself a copy. And here's the 4th reason why a lot of rappers sound the same over every single beat. You know why? Because they rap over the same type of beats every time. That in and of itself can influence how you flow. Now, you should be able to still rap differently over the same type of beats, but the point I really want to drive home right here is different types of beats will influence and inspire you to rap differently. So if you only rap over like boom bap type beats, right? Maybe try rapping over a trap style instrumental. Now again, you may not like that because maybe you struggle with rapping over a trap style instrumental, which is more of a reason why you maybe should try to, because it is a challenge, and rapping over different types of instrumentals will make you a lot more diverse. Even when you go back to rapping over like a boom bap type beat, you will use certain things that you learn from rapping over a trap beat on the boom bap, and you can still make it sound good. Okay, so this is something that I do all the time. Just it keeps me challenged, because you don't want to make things too easy on yourself, because then you quit growing. And so it's fun to rap over different types of beats that kind of stump you. It's like a puzzle, it's like a challenge. And this leads me to probably the biggest point, the biggest tip that I can give you that's going to continue to prevent you from ever falling back into this trap of feeling like you're rapping the same way on every single song. And that just boils down to one thing: scatting. Okay, scatting is the most important thing you can do to improve your flow. All right, and scatting is so fun because you're not using real words, you're mumbling gibberish, you're just being the musician. Rap is RAP, rhythm and poetry. All right, the rhythm is the musical part, the poetry is the written part. Okay, when most people start rapping, they focus on the written part. They just start writing lyrics because that's what makes sense to them, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you neglect the musical part, the written part's never going to sound good over any music. Okay, because that's the musical part of being a rapper. So I really tell people you should be focusing on scatting every single day. I don't care if it's just 3 minutes a day, man. Put them 3 minutes in. Do it while you're taking a shower. Put on the Bluetooth instrumental and just look, me with my 20 plus years of rapping experience, I still will throw on the instrumental on a Bluetooth speaker, take a shower, and kill it. I'm telling you, scatting is so much fun, and that's what's going to help you take musical ideas, cadences, and just be able to build upon them, tear them down. What you witnessed me do just now using Logic's cadence, I'm leaning on that on my scatting skills that I've developed over the years of how I can take a cadence and easily change it into something else. So if you're not familiar with scatting, let me demonstrate that to you real quick. Check this out. None of this is premeditated, just vibing in the moment. Yeah, I'm plastered the past on the toe, rattle on my cast in the flash from the pole. I'm in the cast of my rass in the toe. I'm plastering the dress and the cast of the flow. And again, if you're struggling with coming up with ideas, think of other rappers. Like, hi, my name is, my name is who? My name is Chicka Chicka Slim Shady. Or, let's say some DMX. Let me throw some DMX. Check it out. Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh, told. Have to vote that for gold. Up, stop. After the rough in your pop. Back into raping, I'm bluffing your pocket. I'm baffing, no safing, I'm roping your pop. I'm pat the phone to rate the code. Sipping the cap on the brass until you breath until you rake and flow. Sipping the cap on the break and flow. Hate the flow, half the phone to case the flow. Hipping the cap to break the flow. See what I'm saying? Scatting, you can do so many different things. And it's so fun because you're totally free. You're not having to think about what you're saying. So some of that was me thinking of rap songs when I went to Eminem and DMX. And then I just went back to scatting, and I wasn't even thinking about songs and stuff. I just was just leaning on all the cadences I already learned. And that's the thing about scatting is the more that you do it, the more those cadence patterns will be fresh in your mind. Full circle to the one reason why I was saying a lot of people struggle with cadences is because they just have like one cadences they go to by default. All right. What you want to do is have like 100 cadences that you can go to by default. Like imagine 100 or 50 or just 25, just a lot more than one. And the more the more that you increase your default cadences, the more diverse you're going to be. Because every single cadence you'll ever hear me scat, I had to learn at some point in time. Just like every single word I'm using right now to convey what I'm trying to say to you is words that I've had to learn previously. It's not premeditated though, because I use them so often that it becomes instinct. And that's what scatting will do with cadences. That's why I'm saying get in the habit of scatting every single day, even if it's just a few minutes. It doesn't have to be a long period of time. Just get in the habit. It could be on your way to work. It could be in the shower. It could be while you're doing chores around the house. Scatting is something that you can do to instrumentals. You can play on. I've even caught myself doing it in the grocery store. They may be playing some country music. I can scat over that because it's all music. So get in the habit of scatting, and it's going to take your rap flow to a whole new level. And to me, when I think about what makes a good rap flow, Bruce Lee's quote comes to mind when he said, "Be like water, be shapeless and be formless. Whatever you pour water into, it can become that. You put it in a teapot, it becomes a teapot. You can put it in a bowl, it becomes a bowl." Your rap flow should be like that. And scatting is what allows you to get there. It allows you to learn how to manipulate and shape so many different cadences into so many different things. So get in the habit of scatting. In addition to everything else that I taught you in this video, just get in the habit of scatting. I'm also going to link to 2 of my other recent videos on scatting that will really help you out with that. So make sure you check that out. And again, if you're new to my channel, do not miss out on my ebook, The #1 Fundamental to Rapping. I wish I would have had something like this when I first started, and it's going to really help give you a jump start on how to actually approach this whole rapping thing. And again, it's an easy read. It doesn't take long at all to read. You can read it within an hour, if that or so. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for today. Let me know in the comment section below if this was helpful. Again, this is ColeMize with ColeMizeStudios.com. And always remember, when it comes to rapping, there's no rules. There's only techniques. Peace. Hey man, you see that subscribe button right there? Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Oh, and don't forget the bell icon. Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Hey, I know you see that like button, right? Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. And look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, today I'm gonna kill it.